Before we get started, we just want to thank Old Republic Surety for sponsoring this episode of Let's Get Surety, as well as NASBP virtual seminars for the 5th year in a row. For more information on Old Republic Surety, visit www.orsurety.com. Now on to our show.
You're listening to Let's Get Surety. Let me hear your bonding talk with Kat Shamapande.
Hey everyone, it's Kat Shamapande. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Let's Get Surety. I've got Mark McCallum, CEO of NASBP here as my co-host. Hey Mark, thanks for being on.
Hi Kat, thanks for having me. I know we have some special guests today.
We do. I'm excited. We've got an esteemed panel of NASBP past presidents. We've got John Bustard, Senior Vice President of King & Neel, LLC. Hey, John. Thanks for being on.
Hey, thanks for inviting me and the rest of us here.
So we've also got with us today Mark Munekawa, Senior Vice President, Surety at Woodruff, Sawyer. Hey, Mark.
Hello, and thank you for inviting us.
And Mr. Tracy Tucker, President of Tucker Agency, LTD. Hola. Thanks for being on, Tracy.
Thank you for having us.
We're excited to have all three of you. So before we dive into really talking about your presidencies and all of that, John, do you want to just tell us a little bit about King & Neel?
Sure. King & Neel started in the 1960s, 1967, and started with bonding and insuring 3 contractors. And that was our focus in 1967, and it remains the focus today. Started with 3 employees, and now we're about 20 or 30 strong. We focus on handling contractors primarily, and we do that for the state of Hawaii and expanded to bonding a lot of contractors in Guam. And so that's our focus. And a big part of our success, I think, is an NASBP membership that dates back to about 1970.
That's terrific. Wow. Hey, Mark, can you tell us a little bit about Woodruff Sawyer?
Yes, Woodruff Sawyer, we're a roughly 100-year-old independent brokerage firm based out of San Francisco. We are privately held, small percentage ESOP, and we say we are passionately private. We take no private equity money. Our growth is funded internally. When I started, I think we probably had less than 100 employees. Now we have 750. We're very proud of our surety operation. Certainly, we've been longtime members of the NASBP. But I will tell you that as an organization overall, we're very focused on every tech. It was high tech, biotech, clean tech, whatever tech comes next, that's what we're into. That, venture capital, private equity. So we also are a very big insurance brokerage firm.
Okay. And Tracy, you want to tell us about Tucker Agency?
Well, I'm apparently the youngest, smallest agency here. Tucker Agency started in 82 in Fort Worth, Texas. My dad was in the business previously. And when I graduated from TCU, he resigned from his firm. We started Tucker Agency. So we're up to probably 15, 16 people right now. And we have a main office in Fort Worth, one in Dallas, and one in Lubbock.
It's not bad to be the youngest.
No. I'm the oldest guy in our group. So,
so Tracy, we can start with you. You want to tell us a little bit about what got you into surety? You mentioned your dad started the company.
Yeah, he was part of a closely held firm in Fort Worth that focused on construction, did insurance and surety both, and that's what his background was, and that's kind of what I grew up. I worked at the firm during high school and all through college, and once we got out, I was pretty well initiated into what it was we wanted to do for our clients and how we wanted to handle them. And we just kind of stayed extremely focused on that. We do write a few other miscellaneous insurance accounts, but I'd say 99% of our revenue is construction related, both on the insurance, property casualty side and on the surety side.
That's great.
So,
John, how'd you get into surety?
Well, after I graduated from college, I was looking for something to do. I knew nothing about surety. And
as many of those graduating from college do not.
Exactly. It was an unknown industry. So I had an opportunity to meet with a King and Neel.
Yeah.
And I told them right up front, I do not want to work in the insurance industry because I just don't have any interest in it. And but I'm here to let you know that here's my resume, and maybe you can see that it fits some other industry here in Honolulu. Well, got a call a couple weeks later and said, why don't you come down and talk to us? Well, wait, didn't you hear what I had to say? No, there's something a little different than insurance. It's surety, and it's connected to the insurance industry, and it has to do with guaranteeing performance and payment obligations that contractors have, and little known, but very exciting. So I decided to jump in and give it a try. And here I am. That was 1976, and here I am, still doing it, still loving it. You learn things every day.
Yeah.
You never thought you'd know about, never thought you'd be excited about, and yet it's an industry that has a lot of variety.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of learning that goes on, not book learning, but just learning about people and about things that happen in the business and even personal world.
Mm. Mark, how'd you find surety?
Well, I grew up in South San Francisco, a suburb of San Francisco, and went to a community college, San Francisco State, and majored in economics. I think when I graduated, I just knew I wanted to work in the financial district. For some reason, that was one of my goals. So through on-campus commuting, I had 3 offers from 3 local banks and 3 insurance companies. On the insurance side, it was a general trainee, surety, and commercial auto. And I just wanted a job where I could learn a little bit of using my analytical skills. And I knew I had to develop my sales skills. And I just thought that the surety industry was pretty exciting and it fit what I wanted to do. And I was fortunate enough to get a trainee job at the old insurance company of North America. And I spent 20 years on the company side with various surety companies, various positions, and then joined the brokerage ranks for another 20 years. And our firm, we like to hire surety underwriters because we have the analytical skills that we need to provide to our clients.
Wow.
It's a very small industry.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, several years ago when Mark was working for the Hartford as an underwriter, he was the underwriter for our territory.
No.
Oh, wow.
I've known Mark for decades, and it came through a relationship that developed when he was an underwriter and I was an agent in Honolulu.
So, we're very privileged to have 3 past presidents here with us, but you told us a little bit about your journeys into surety. I'm also very curious about your first foray into NASBP. What got you involved and what kept you involved?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tracy, would you like to tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah. My dad's firm, the previous one, had been an NASBP member. We didn't join initially. Came about several years later, and a new market was trying to move into Texas, new surety market, and Steve Anderson was the lead guy with that surety company. It was Washington International, and met him out at DFW Airport back when people could walk into the terminal and meet.
Yep.
People got So it was a few years ago. But Steve explained to me that he thought we would be a good fit together, but that it was their direction, their goal to have all of their key agents to be members of NASBP. And he suggested that we look into joining. So I went through the steps and went through the process. And I think maybe the first regional meeting I attended was in New Orleans and got to meet a lot of really nice people, really good surety people that are still active in our association. And I was hooked, getting to go to the programs and hearing the things that people were talking about and how they were doing things. And it's just really been inspiration for me during my 40-year career to be involved in the association and learn from my friends along the way.
Yeah, so you felt like you got some immediate connection.
Oh, absolutely.
Right,
yeah, definitely.
Great. John, what about for you?
Well, our marketplace in Honolulu and the state of Hawaii is pretty limited, and that includes surety companies and the surety business. And so Harvey King and Ted Neel, who founded our agency, were always interested in having a broader perspective on the business itself. And so they also had some industry friends who were members of NASBP, and they felt as if it would be a valuable addition to what we could offer our agency and to our customers. And so we became members and have been very fortunate over the years to connect with a number of other surety industry people through the association, and all parts of the United States, and learning about that perspective that has helped our agency, but more importantly, our customers benefit from the things that NASBP, the benefits that NASBP provides.
Great. Mark, how about for your journey into NASBP?
Well, I think mine's a little bit different. Again, starting on the company side is I moved up the ranks and became a local bond manager. Like many bond managers today, one of my important roles was to snag brokers at the regional meetings before my competition did, so we could snag them for a dinner before the guys across the street did. So I was really more regionally focused, I suppose, than on the national level. When the NASBP decided to start the steering committees, if Mark, you remember that,
Right.
I volunteered because I thought it was a great opportunity to kind of expand my network beyond just the Bay Area. And when I joined Woodruff Sawyer, my boss is Chuck Shoemaker. He actually started his career at the old II Industrial Indemnity as a surety trainee.
Yeah.
And frankly, we made a conscious decision that the surety business has been good to us. It's been good to our firm. And we wanted to pay the industry back. And we thought the NASBP was the right vehicle. One other thing I would like to mention is getting more involved in the national level was really the result of Susan Hecker from Arthur J. Gallagher in San Francisco, really pushing me to get more involved. And I always use that as an example about, they're the big national broker in San Francisco Bay Area. We're I think the large local broker. We do compete occasionally, but I think both her and I, we realized that the NASBP was something that was important to us to elevate the surety industry overall.
Right.
And we could set aside, maybe the day-to-day competition and do what's right for the industry. So I always thank Susan for that.
Yeah, and Susan is another past president.
President. Yeah.
NASBP.
And so,
Passionate past
Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
passionate
very
past
much
president.
so.
So did Susan really helped you or encourage you to kick off your volunteer leadership with NASBP?
Yes, with a phone call saying, hey, do you want to be on the board of directors? her and Ed Heine said, well, let me talk. Because again, it was something new for us as a firm.
Yeah.
But again, we decided that this was the right vehicle to, again, pay back the industry for what they've given to us. And from there, it's been the best experience of my career.
Right. So as producers, you are always striving to provide the best possible service to your clients. And they're dealing with a lot of different things. So I imagine that you get surprises from time to time as you are trying to address their needs. Do any stories come to mind of you dealing with unexpected events in helping your clients advance and grow as a company? Anybody want to volunteer
Well, I think one of the occurrences that happens all the time is, we sit down with our clients either annually, semi-annually, and talking about their plans, how the year's going, what are your goals, what do you want to look for as far as projects, basically what your business plan is.
Right.
So they lay all that out and we, say, oh, that sounds great. We can handle that. Next thing you know, say they indicate they want to do maybe look at single projects up to 20 million, and the perfect $50 million job comes like a month later. So it's everybody has a business plan. They have an idea about what they want to do. It just doesn't always happen that easily.
Right.
So then, when a big job like that pops up, I mean, obviously it's a great opportunity for our clients, but it's a good opportunity for us in the surety company too. But we get to go in and sit down with them and talk to them about why this job's important. How do you think you're going to handle the work, the cash flow, the people, the management of the job? So, you work through it, and sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it doesn't make sense. And we have to kind of explain to them maybe why it doesn't make sense. And most of the time they agree in the end.
Right.
But it's not always a perfect world.
Yeah. But you're there, you're communicating, you're thinking through the situation and figuring out a path forward, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. John, do you have any thoughts on that as well?
Sure. Every hour on the hour, we're presented with surprises.
Yep. Yep.
And I think the knowledge base that NASBP has helped us develop, and also the relationships in the surety world, have been very helpful. Continuing on Tracy's theme, when you do have a circumstance that arises for one of our contractor customers that fits their current surety relationship very well, the surprise sometimes doesn't fit that surety relationship.
Right.
And the ability to know other surety markets that do fit that new unusual circumstance is something that we've been able to, through our relationships developed through NASBP, know those markets and maybe provide the answer for our customer, as opposed to an agent who does not have access to that market.
Right. So, Mark, have you had similar situations?
Yeah, again, I would agree with everything that Tracy and John said. I guess a couple of points that are a little bit different. First off, again, as a regional broker, I guess that's what we're called, although we're fairly sizable. The NASBP involvement on the national level has really given me the opportunity to have direct personal relationships with the surety company executives of almost every major surety writer in the country. And that is not something that we could have done without the NASBP. And that's helped us, frankly, develop strong relationships with the surety companies that we need to help our clients. One specific thing I thought about as they were talking is our legislative fly-ins to D.C.
Okay.
And I was fortunate enough to be able to go back there a number of years. It did increase my sensitivity, or at least enlighten me to, what politics means to us, and so forth. And I use that more now on the local level, but from a sales standpoint, I found when I target a client, being part of the NASBP, learning about what's happening in DC, what's happening for me in Sacramento, and how that affects our clients. Are the new contract delivery system, CMGC, leasebacks? What do we know? How can we share that with prospects? And that, I think, actually helped get me, a fairly sizable general contractor, about $100 million a year, because we could show we were more invested in their business.
Yeah.
And it was through the NASBP that I was able to get that knowledge, share it with our clients so that they see we could do a better job of helping them succeed.
Well, besides being past presidents, you all share one thing, one big surprise, that you in your leadership roles had to deal with. So as an NASBP president, you have a year and you come in with a theme, and obviously there are plans that you have made and the organization has made, but sometimes things don't turn out the way that you think they will. And I think you all know what I'm driving at, which is...
I think we do.
Yeah, the COVID pandemic. And that is something that you all had to steer through and exercise a great deal of leadership about. So I'd love to kind of get your perspective and your thoughts on that. And maybe, Mark, I'll let you lead off on that.
Sure. Well, my presidential term was 2020 to 2021.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yep.
And my theme was, ironically, must be present to win. And I feel very fortunate that I was the only
Your
president.
counterparts are laughing here.
I was the only president, and hopefully will be the only president in the NASBP history never to hold an in-person meeting. Yet my theme was must be present to win. And a lot of people come up to me. In fact, it was odd. I had an affiliate come up to me and say, I looked at the list. I didn't know you were ever president. and I thought about, reason why was I was never standing behind a podium addressing everybody.
Yeah.
The year that never was.
The year that never was. But, when John and Tracy and I are all affected by this, one thing I always try to remind everybody, and I said this to the past presidents, that group, probably more than anybody other than maybe some staff, realize that really the work of a president, I mean, it's great that we get to eat and drink our way across the country. I did miss that. But what we had to do from a budget, maintaining the strong financial position of the company, advocacy, working with the SFAA, expanding our visibility. We had the Be Guaranteed to Succeed program. How were we going to do or fulfill our mission when we were never able to meet? And that was a big challenge, and that was still the hard work that every president has to do.
Yeah.
I had to do it. Tracy, John did. I just didn't get to do it in front of people.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were in the middle of the pandemic, the very crux of it. And as you said, much work had to happen, even though we weren't in person.
Right.
So that meant that all of a sudden, that communication that you could normally do in person at meetings, networking, had to be accomplished in some other way. What happened in that regard?
Well, we had to pivot very quickly. And again, this is only at the start of using Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually was talking to another former past president, Tom Padilla. And I do remember we were struggling. How are we going to stay visible with our community? And Tom was very nice enough to get Scott Mann to speak to us as an organization, great speaker. And that really launched a series of, I don't know, what do we call them? Virtual conferences that I think really helped us stay engaged with our membership and the overall Surety community. But there was a lot of pivoting. We did some experimentations. And in the meantime, how we're going to negotiate with the hotels because we couldn't meet. There's some financial realities we had to deal with. And thankfully, NASBP staff was great about that. But there was a lot of work. Event insurance, cancellation insurance policy, claim. I mean, all of that was happening in the background. So it was just a very unusual year, but I don't regret my year. I'm kind of proud of what I did.
Awesome.
You found ways to still be present, even though we couldn't all be in one space together.
We did our best.
Yeah.
Right.
And your theme of be present to win, we did win.
Yeah.
And so that part, the first part was impossible to do, but you still won. So
I like to
congratulations.
Think we did. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So John, your presidency was really on the front end as things were materializing and there was a lot of uncertainty going on. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, the theme chosen for the year I was president, 2019 to 2020.
Yeah.
And the theme was make every minute count.
Mm.
Well, I aimed to do that throughout the presidency until 2 months before the end of our year, and then it was really tough to make every minute count.
Absolutely,
because everyone was struggling across the country in every business and every in personal life to do what they could to make every minute count. So I think the transition for the last 2 months was smooth because of the organization that supports our industry, NASBP, based nation's capital, and through various campaigns with our newsletters, our pipeline, our communication capabilities, we were able to, as Mark pointed out, reach our members, support the industry, and do the very best we could. and so we're very fortunate because the organization has a tremendous ability to be planful, not only minute by minute, but year by year. So that planning that's been in place for years was one of the things that was a catalyst for our ability to continue meaningful involvement.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So Tracy, now everybody has been through a unprecedented period, and I'm sure you were looking forward to taking over as president at that point. Right?
Yeah, I was really excited. And
Yeah.
For those maybe listening to this podcast that don't really understand our calendar year,
Yeah.
we don't follow a calendar year with our officer changeovers. We do it usually late spring, April, May, sometime in that frame. So our presidency and our officer years flow from basically spring to spring. So John had his whole year. He had his fall meetings, had his entire big annual meeting planned for Colorado Springs, and it got canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Crazy time.
Yeah.
It was a
That
crazy
canceled
time.
2
So-
months or less before the event.
So Mark, as he indicated, was not able to hold a single in-person meeting, which was very difficult because our association, our members are very sociable people.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, this meeting this year has been incredible. I mean, everybody's in a very celebratory mood. I think we're all still coming back from the COVID time. One of the big things that we do in our process is when the incoming president gets announced, and we do that by a big member vote, you know. So when John handed it off to Mark and Mark accepted, it was a virtual vote.
Yep.
And same thing happened with me when I took the office. We were still in COVID and we didn't have a meeting. And Nick, our current president, who has rest of today as president, he was talking about his speech a year ago. And I'm thinking, I don't remember my speech. Oh, I didn't have an annual meeting to do it at. I did mine on a video up on a rooftop in downtown Fort Worth.
Right.
But, you know, those are, I guess, lifetime milestones.
Right.
You know, so
what was your theme?
my
Tracy?
theme was we're better together. And it just kind of came to me one day, you know, talking about getting back together for a meeting, and oh my Lord, I hope I get to have some meetings. Yeah, I mean, Mark and I have become very good friends through NASBP. He's from San Francisco. I'm from Texas. You know, two completely different political environments to where you wouldn't think we would be as good of friends as we are. But because of our involvement in working together and getting to
Right.
know each other as people other than just Californian and Texans,
Yeah.
you know, we've become really good friends. But it's being involved in this is a special thing for all of us.
More than any business I am familiar with, relationships are highly important for the surety industry. And to not be able to meet in person is very difficult. It's just fantastic to be back together again where we can continue those relationships that we knew before the pandemic hit, and those that even we developed during the pandemic, and now being able to reconnect and continue those relationships. It's a key. It's essential. It's you know, relationships on steroids is our industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Well,
So with being we're better together, you know, we were able to basically, I had the year that we came out of COVID. So to
Yeah.
speak.
Right.
So we had 2 fall meetings. The first one was in Chicago in September, and Chicago broke out with COVID like the week right before
Yeah.
the meeting.
Yeah.
And I was really afraid we were going to have to cancel that one, but we persevered. We did the mask, we did the social distancing, all that kind
And
of
we
mess.
offered some hybrid versions of the conference.
Yeah, I did a live video stream of
Yeah.
me. That was exciting. But, about 2 or 3 weeks later, I think it was maybe 3 weeks, we had our second fall meeting, and it was in San Diego. And it was more normal. People there, we didn't have a COVID outbreak in the city. And everybody, that first opening reception, what do we have, like 300 people out on a roof? I mean, we were shoulder to shoulder out there. It was like COVID never happened. And the only bad thing that came out of that meeting was when my wife and I were walking to lunch after the first morning session, when she tripped and fell on the street and broke her kneecap.
Oh,
that was the downside of that meeting. But aside from that, it was great.
It was really the return, right?
Yeah.
And Tracy was really, his year brought us back in a very positive way. That San Diego meeting was a celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I thought.
I believe it was. So the year progressed, and as we kept moving along, it became more and more normal. I did get to hold the first annual meeting in person for a couple of years, and it was the final night. I think was quite the celebration a year ago. So.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like when you have a crisis, relationships can sustain you.
Yeah.
Whether that's working with clients or working for the industry.
Right?
Yes.
One thing I say is I've been very fortunate. I don't know by luck or coincidence, but my year was between John Bustards and Tracy Tuckers. They happen to be two of my best friends in the industry. Just luck.
Yeah.
But it makes it more enjoyable. And I think we're actually more effective as an executive committee when we're good friends.
Yeah.
And as Tracy mentioned, Tracy and I don't agree on a lot of things. But
just as long as we don't talk about politics, everything is great, right?
And you know how I never like to talk about politics. But it makes it more worthwhile, maybe more enjoyable, more memorable.
Yeah.
When you're working with people you want to work with.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Well, I just want to ask, do any of you have lessons you learned leading through such an unprecedented, an unusual, difficult time that you want to share with, incoming presidents into the future, someone coming into the presidency? What did you learn? What can they take if something were to happen that was unprecedented?
Be flexible.
That's great. Yeah.
Is one suggestion.
Yeah. I will pat our staff on the back.
Right.
And, Mark, you and Kat are two important parts of that. Depend on the staff, because y'all do a great job. Y'all kept everything cohesive and organized. And I think really for me made it my year really easy coming back, because y'all had everything under control, helped plan everything, and kept me from catching my hair on fire or something. So
it gave me a tremendous sense of confidence.
Did it?
That I really value. Right. So thank you.
I would say the lesson is, rely on your team. It's a team effort, and certainly staff up and down was very important. I would also say, though, our committee chairpersons, our committee members.
Yep.
When we were still pushing Be Guaranteed to Succeed, and we had people step up.
Yeah.
And, frankly, it was none of my product. It was a great product, but really we had people step up in tough times. And I think if we have a good organization, committed members, a good staff, it's really, again, not just about the president. We're kind of the figurehead, but the results are really through the efforts of all the staff and all of our engaged members.
Keyword you brought up, team.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Tracy.
I was just going to kind of comment about Mark's theme, my theme, and then Nick's theme.
Yeah.
And we've kind of joked that, so Mark's theme was must be present to win. Mine was better together. And Nick's is with passion and purpose. So we've kind of joked that by being present to win, we're all better together with passion and purpose.
There you go.
They lead right into each other.
We did not plan it that way, but it worked out great.
Perfect.
I want to thank all of you guys for being on with us. It's so nice to have some of our past presidents on and sharing about yourselves and about your presidencies. Hopefully we can have each of you back again sometime to talk about Surety.
Sounds great.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you,
Thank you
Kat.
very
you.
much. It's been fun.
You've been listening to Let's Get Surety, brought to you by the National Association of Surety Bond Producers. For more information about the NASBP and its members, visit nasbp.org.
Before we go, we just want to say thank you again to Old Republic Surety for their generous support in sponsoring this episode of Let's Get Surety. For more information on Old Republic Surety, visit www.orsurety.com.